Nice work, Bone Daddy.
What's up, Watchers? It's time to officially kick off the holiday season, and today's episode features what might be the greatest holiday season transition movie ever.
This is also the first time we're reviewing an animated or stop-motion style film. And while not directed by him, this is a product of the slightly twisted but brilliant mind of Tim Burton.
It's time to finish off all that Halloween candy, boys and girls, and dust off your jingle bells. I didn't read that before. It's time to take that terrifying sleigh ride that is 1993's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Welcome to the Midnight Watch Podcast, the show where we discuss classic, cult, and modern classic movies.
We're your hosts, Jeremy and Josh, and we try to review movies that are at least 10 years old and see what kind of impact they made or are still making on culture and the film industry. And fair warning, we're big on spoilers here.
We rate these movies in 4 categories. Number 1, the level of impact and success it had when it was released. Number 2, how relevant is it today? Number 3, our own personal enjoyment of this movie. And number 4, is it a midnight watch?
We covered Big Fish about 16 episodes back, and this is now our second dance with good old Tim Burton. So let's get the show on the road and get after some trivia.
All right, so you already pointed this out already, but I wanted to hit this point home. This is not directed by Tim Burton, actually.
Right.
This is a story that Tim Burton conceived and thought up the characters and stuff, but it's actually directed by Henry Selick, who is basically everything he's done has been phenomenal. So I think they were Disney buddies back in the day because they both were animators for Disney. And this is based slightly off of his short, or Tim Burton's short, Vincent. Did you ever see that?
I haven't. I know what it is, but that's another thing I got to catch up on.
It's really good. Vincent Price actually does all the overhaul for it. And so anyways, yeah, so it's based off of that. And then let's see here. We've got the score by Danny Elfman. And then the budget was $18 million and it made $50 million. But then they keep putting it back at theaters because it's popular for holiday season. So It's now made a cumulative of $91 million is what it looks like. That's pretty intense. Let's see.
Yeah. Definitely has continued to grow in popularity, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because this movie I want to say this was I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's finish real quick with these things and we'll jump into it.
Very good.
So let's see. It's starring Danny Elfman, Catherine O'Hara, Chris Sarandon, Ken Page, Paul Reubens, Glenn Shaddix, William Hickey, and Edward Ivory. So that's a pretty solid cast there. So basically there's 2 different people that play Jack Skellington. Danny Elfman, who's also the composer, sings all of Jack Skellington's songs. And then Chris Sarandon does the talking voice. Did you know that Chris Sarandon is Prince Humperdinck from The Princess Bride?
I knew the name, and as soon as you said that, I was like, yep, that's it.
I did not know that. And so as soon as he saw that, I was like, Humperdinck. So, that's so exciting, though. I was just like, oh, man, literally he did Princess Bride, and 6 years later, he did The Nightmare Before Christmas. He's in 2 cult classic movies that are just massively favorites of people.
Right.
So that guy's got to be banking, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. No, he's amazing.
I got a lot of trivia for this movie, so Josh, tell us that synopsis of this film.
All right. As always, hopefully not as always, but yes, again, this is Wikipedia.
Yes, donate $2 or $3, please, people. Not to us, to Wikipedia.
To Wikipedia. Halloween Town is a fantasy world filled with various monsters and supernatural beings associated with the holiday. Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King, and leader of the town, leads them in organizing the annual Halloween celebrations. However, privately, Jack has grown weary of the same routine year after year and wants something new. Wandering in the woods the next morning, he stumbles across 7 trees containing doors leading to towns representing various holidays, and enters the one leading into Christmas Town. Awed by the unfamiliar holiday, Jack returns to Halloween Town to show the residents his findings, but they fail to grasp the idea of Christmas and compare everything to their ideas of Halloween. Although they do relate to one Christmas Town character, its ruler, Santa Claus. Jack sequesters himself in his tower to study Christmas and find a way to rationally explain it, but cannot. He ultimately decides that it's unfair for Christmas Town alone to enjoy the holiday and announces that he and the citizens of Halloween Town will take over Christmas this year. Jack assigns the citizens of Halloween Town Christmas-themed jobs, including singing carols, making presents, and building a sleigh to be pulled by skeletal reindeer. Sally, a beautiful ragdoll woman that is secretly in love with Jack, experiences a vision that their efforts will end in disaster, but Jack dismisses this and assigns her the task of sewing him a red coat to wear. He also tasks Lock, Shock, and Barrel, a trio of mischievous trick-or-treating children, to abduct Santa and bring him back to Halloween Town. Jack tells Santa he will be bringing Christmas to the world in his place this year. Jack orders the trio to keep Santa safe, but the children instead deliver Santa to Oogie Boogie, a gambling-addicted boogeyman who plots to play a game with Santa's life at stake. Sally attempts to rescue Santa so he can stop Jack, but Oogie captures her as well. Jack departs to deliver presents to the world, but the Halloween-style gifts terrify and attack the populace. While the media sends word via radio about the Santa imposter, the military takes action and shoots down Jack, causing him to crash into a cemetery. While the devastated residents of Halloween Town think he's been killed, Jack has survived, and while he bemoans the disaster he has made of Christmas, he finds he enjoyed the experience nonetheless, reigniting his love of Halloween. But first, he realizes he must take action to fix his mess. Jack returns to Halloween Town and finds Oogie's lair. Oogie tries to kill Jack, but Jack defeats him by ripping apart a thread, holding his cloth form together, causing all the bugs that live inside Oogie to fall into his cauldron. Jack apologizes to Santa for his actions, and Santa, while still angry at Jack for ruining Christmas and not listening to Sally's warnings, assures him that he can fix things and returns to Christmas Town. As Santa replaces the Halloween-style presents with genuine ones, the townspeople of Halloween Town celebrate Jack's survival and return. Santa then visits Halloween Town and brings them a snowfall for the residents to play with, which in a way fulfills Jack's original dream. As he flies away, Santa shouts out, "Happy Halloween!" and Jack replies by shouting, "Merry Christmas!" In the graveyard, Jack and Sally declare their love for each other.
My wife and I, we both like the part where they reference to each other as my dearest friend, and I just think that's actually really sweet. Yeah, it's very unique, but at the same time, I think it's a lot more personal. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So this one is exciting to talk about because when I think of this movie, I think of you, Josh, because I remember you always liked this movie. Mm-hmm. You and your wife, I believe you were both really into this, right?
I don't think she is as much as I am, but she definitely knows I love this one.
Oh, okay. Maybe she was into it because you're into it and she's into you, so that makes sense.
There you go, something like that. I know she doesn't hate it. I don't think it's her favorite though. But
I thought you and her were both big Tim Burton fans.
Well, I mean, she's a huge Big Fish fan, mm-hmm. and the original Batman. Well, right. I should say the two Batman movies that he did. She loved those back in the day. We haven't watched those in a long time, so I'm curious to see what she thinks about it. But she used to watch those all the time.
Technically, yeah. We watched Batman Returns as a Christmas movie last year. Is a Christmas
that's cool.
movie.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
All right, so yeah, but I know you're excited about this one, and
but are you so excited that you're going to tell me the first time you watched this movie?
Oh no, I was not that excited.
Yeah, you like what I did there?
I did. I like that. That was a good transaction. We ain't making no money, folks.
No, not yet.
All right.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Hopefully tomorrow, because the bills need to be paid. So,
won't you pledge $1 to keep this podcast on the air?
Yeah, help us, please. We're going off the air. We need your money. The tax man's at the door. Okay. Anyways, so the first time I saw this movie, I had to really think about that because I did not see this movie for a long time because, of course, it was demonic and all that stuff. So
sure.
I saw Corpse Bride before I saw this movie, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I went back. I really liked Corpse Bride. I saw that in theaters. And then I went back to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. And I was super disappointed because I was like, there is way too much singing in this movie. And just seeing all the artwork and all of the pop culture references, I was expecting it to be this like freaking legit movie, you know? And because Corpse Bride is, it's got a pretty compelling plot and it's fun. And there's like,
sure.
And
well,
so,
if I remember correctly, it's a lot faster paced than Nightmare is.
It's very different because it's not a musical. So,
right.
The synopsis for the film might be twice as long because the Nightmare Before Christmas synopsis was actually pretty short comparably.
Yeah, when you think about it, there's not a lot to it. He's not happy. He steals his neighbor's job and balls it up and then fixes it. And that's it.
And there you have it.
And he pledges his true love.
Right. So I'd be like that thing on Facebook where it's like really bad explanations of movies. This one would be like, this would be like, man steals his neighbor's job and messes it up.
Right. Which, I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Right. My favorite one of those was when they were talking about, I think I told you this, but it's like cosplay player beats up another mentally deranged cosplay player. And that was the Dark Knights one. That was pretty good.
That's pretty right on.
Right. Okay, so jumping back into this, so I saw that. I want to say that was around, I don't remember when Corpse Bride came out. Was that 2006 or something like that? 2005?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere in there, because I'm pretty sure Trinity and I rented it, after we'd been married. Again, because she does like some of his movies, and I like pretty much all of his movies. Right.
Yeah, so that was, 2005. And I think that the reason that I was really into that at the same time though is because I was a big fan of Johnny Depp at the time, so I was like watching anything with Johnny Depp in it. And so anyways, so around 2005 is the first time that I saw this movie. What about you?
Well, I didn't see this when it came out. It came out in 93. Which, like you said, this movie was a big no-go in our home growing up, but it was huge, and I just remember seeing the posters everywhere, merchandise. It was everywhere. So I remember being very intrigued about, what is this evil movie that I'm not allowed to see? And then flash forward to, so I must have, probably Trinity and I were dating. So maybe, I don't know, 2000, 2001 was probably the first time I actually saw it. So kind of well after the fact. I might've seen it a few years before then, but, I'm pretty sure I watched it with her initially.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, did you like it the first time you saw it? I mean, I kind of already said that you liked it.
I feel like this is one that I think I appreciated it, but I don't know that I loved it right off the bat. But it's one of those ones where every time I've watched it, I like it more, even for different reasons. And I know by the time I saw it the second time, whenever that was, I was definitely hooked. I think like you, I didn't realize just how much singing and music was in this movie and how interwoven into the story it is.
Yeah.
So I think that took me a time or two to get used to, and then realized, or it grew on me or something. I don't know. It grabbed me eventually.
Yeah. It has
not that it took that long.
It has a really strong Oingo Boingo vibe to it. So no, I'm just kidding.
I was really waiting for you to explain that. And I'm like, wow,
so
totally didn't get that.
Right? Danny Elfman is from the band Oingo Boingo. And so anyways, he actually started scoring movies just kind of as a side gig thing. And then he ended up being good at it. And then now that's actually kind of more what he got famous for. And
right.
So this movie, though, he said that it was really easy for him to come up with the songs because he identifies so much with Jack Skellington. I don't really know what that means, but maybe one of our listeners can explain that to me. But so the songs in here, though, they're very extremely catchy, and they're very the opposite of forgetful. Coming up with the word
memorable.
That's what I was trying to think. Yeah, and so. They're very memorable though, and they're very different than other musicals that I've seen, and I appreciate that. And
yeah,
I think it's pretty cool actually. I'm trying to. I don't want to steal the limelight on this one. I want you to tell me what you thought about this and different things, because I feel like I could just jump into trivia but
Sure.
I know that
we'll definitely just sprinkle that trivia in, as we go.
Okay.
But I agree with you. This is absolutely a strong musical. It's got a solid soundtrack, in my opinion. I don't think there's any songs in it that I really don't care for. I mean, there's obviously the ones that everyone would probably know because they get played, more than some of the other ones. But I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
And obviously a good musical has to have a lot of good songs in it.
You would hope.
You would hope. There's probably some where there's one or two songs that are known for, and that's it. But this one is very solid. I've definitely listened to this just the soundtrack. Like I think probably maybe about 10 years ago, was when 7 or 8 years ago, when I started paying for music as far as like a streaming service. I think we had Amazon's. Initially. And I got the soundtrack through that, and then just really, really listened to it a lot. I think the girls really got into it. I listened to some. They had also put out, I think in the early 2000s, they put out a bunch of popular bands at the time did a big cover album of it. So there was like Fall Out Boy, and I can't think of who else, but I can think of their song that they did. But
I know Marilyn Manson did a cover, and then
yes.
Several other big bands covered this, so it's like a well received musical in the music industry. Right.
So that album was really cool. So I remember just really digesting the music, probably about 10 years after I had seen it, and that was kind of another step in me loving the movie even more. Just really, really breaking down the music and absorbing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every time I've watched this, I get something different out of it. I either see something that I hadn't seen before, or just experience a different emotion or something.
I agree. I'm totally with you on that. Like, I see things that, I've never seen before. The thing that's awesome about stop motion animation is, I mean, some directors are like this anyways, where they're very meticulous about what's in every shot of the movie, like Stanley Kubrick. But this movie, though, like everything that you see is placed there intentionally. Every movement is intentional. And so I love that about stop motion animation films. There's no mistakes in stop motion animation. Like everything is extremely planned. They had to do, 12 movements for every... normally you do 12 movements for claymation, 12 movements in like one movement per every 24... What is it? I'm messing this up. 24 frames is basically 12 movements for claymation. This is different, though, to make it more smooth than regular classic claymation like Wallace and Gromit. They actually did 24 movements in 24 frames. So every frame they had to slightly adjust the characters.
Wow.
So that makes it more fluid, and I'm always blown away by stop motion animation movies. Like, I don't think I'm a very patient person, because it took over 3 years to film this and over 100 animators. And that is meticulous planning. I mean, it's insane.
And that being said, I got to give a shout out. I put it in my notes. I had to give a shout out to Leica Studios.
Oh yeah.
Or Studio. That's the group that put out Coraline, Box Trolls. Mm-hmm. There's Paranorman. Yeah, Kubo. Thank you. I couldn't think of that one earlier. But that company, they are, to me, they're the new Pixar as far as what they do. I mean, their stuff makes the motion capture in Nightmare look terrible. I mean, they're just so smooth and fluid. I mean, there's just, and nothing against Nightmare. Mm-hmm. It's amazing, and I wouldn't change a thing about it, but just the technology has changed, and they've just gotten better at that old school craft of, minute movements. Yeah. I mean, you go back to, like you said, claymation, you got Gumby or Davy and Goliath. And so looking at what they can do now is phenomenal.
Right. I will say that, like, shout out to Aardman Studios, though. Like, they've always been top notch, and they've been constantly getting better with the groove. They're just their studio, though, burned down a few years ago, so they were like slowly building that back up. They're the creators of like Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run, all that stuff. But Leica Studios, though, Henry Selick is a big part of that. He directed Coraline as well as this movie, and of course James and the Giant Peach. Which I didn't know this. I thought James and the Giant Peach came out before this, but it came out after this movie. So this was Henry Selick's like first full length movie.
That's cool. And and Jack Skellington shows up in James and the Giant Peach.
Yes.
If you didn't know. Which
I haven't seen the movie I let somebody borrow my copy, and I don't remember who it was, so I have to buy it again. I know. It's the cardinal sin.
I know. I've definitely lost so many movies, and back when CDs were a thing, so many CDs loaning to people, and oh yeah, go ahead, check it out, and then just gone.
Gotta watch this. Yeah, and then 2 years later, who was I friends with at that time?
Right.
Which is kind of funny actually. I own Nightmare Before Christmas, and we let a friend borrow it, and so we watched it on Disney Plus actually, so we could watch it for the review.
Right. Y'all, that saved me. I did not have time because we just got back from camping, so I didn't have time to watch it this week. Mm-hmm. And last night when we got home, I was like, well, I could drag out the DVD and watch it, but I'm really tired. I need to pay attention, So thankfully it was on Disney Plus, which was awesome because I just downloaded it to my iPad and watched it in a couple of parts at work between flights. So that huge save. I was able to knock that out and be a little fresher to put my thoughts down. Dude,
we were in the middle of Downton Abbey, and I was like, oh snap, I still got to watch that movie. And so
you watching the show or the movie?
What are you talking about? Downton Abbey?
For Downton, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're in season 2. We're slowly working to it. It's my new addiction. So
is it your first time watching it?
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
really digging it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
The heartstrings, the feels. So anyways, so
that's another podcast.
Exclusively just about Downton Abbey.
There's probably already 50 podcasts out there with just about Downton Abbey.
There needs to be 51. So, right. But I watched it last night, and I kept getting freaking distracted by the movie because I was trying to look up facts while I was watching the movie, and I finally just put my phone down because the movie kept sucking me in. And
right.
I love stop motion animation movies. That's my kryptonite. Like, I try to see every single one in theaters, even if it looks dumb. I try to see it just so I can support the all of the artistic, the stuff, because it takes a long time to make any movies. It takes forever though for that, and I'm just like so blown away by that. Like, I know how it's made, and it still blows me away. Like Fantastic Mr. Fox, like amazing.
Oh yeah,
it's just
that's a great example. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to movie,
have you seen Isle of Dogs?
I did. Yeah, I wasn't as big.
I have not seen that one yet.
Wasn't as big of a fan of that movie. My wife really liked it, but it's a very different flavor than Fantastic Mr. Fox. I probably need to watch it again.
Well, that's Wes Anderson. He likes to change it up now and then.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, back to this movie. Man, that's like 3 rabbit trails already.
Heck yeah.
In like 2 minutes.
So actually, Vincent Price was originally cast as Santa Claus, but his wife had passed away and his own health began to deteriorate. And so his voice performance was very frail and weak. So they couldn't use them much to Henry Selick was like super champion for him to do it, and so he was really disappointed that they couldn't use it because his voice was really weak. And actually Vincent Price passed away like just a couple days before this movie was released, so I know I knew he was getting up there, but this would have potentially been his last movie. I don't remember what's his last movie, if it's Edward Scissorhands or maybe something else. Vincent Price, though, a treasure among Hollywood, though. Like, this guy, freaking legit legend. When you think of horror movies, like classic horror movies, like old school classic horror movies, it's Vincent Price.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, he was in Ed Wood, right?
He probably was. I mean, I know Bela Lugosi was in it, and that was his last movie. I don't remember.
Oh, that's it. I think that's what I'm confusing. I remember you're right. It was Bela Lugosi's last movie.
I don't remember if Vincent Price was
I'm looking it up.
Well, the thing that's funny, though, about Bela Lugosi, Nether Rabbit Trail, folks, we should name this episode Rabbit Trail Before Christmas.
Right.
So, yeah, but Bela Lugosi, though, it's funny. He plays himself inside Ed Wood. We'll get to that movie eventually. Yeah, but this one, though, let's see. What else do I got here? This was... Tim Burton wanted to direct this movie, but unfortunately...
You were right. Edward Scissorhands was his last one.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So... what was I saying? Oh yeah, Tim Burton wanted to direct this movie, but he was finishing up Batman Returns, and Henry Selick started working on it. And then Tim Burton would only visit like every now and then, and only be there for like a couple days at a time. So if you think they worked on this movie almost every day for 3 years, over 100 animators, that's a lot of work. And if Tim Burton was like barely there technically, so it's realistically it's more Henry Selick's movie, I would say, than Tim Burton's movie.
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's Tim Burton's idea. Mm-hmm. It's got his fingerprints all over it.
Yeah. Not literally. Probably Henry Selick's literally, though.
Right. But they're there. But I mean, that being said, he it's definitely fair to call it Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, especially considering he wrote the original, poem or short story or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a 3-page poem, which actually on the 2008 DVD, believe it or not, Christopher Lee actually says the poem on the 2008 DVD, in case you guys want to check that out.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know if I have that one. Come to think of it.
I'm sorry. It's the Blu-ray DVD special release. I think that's the newest release that they have. Yeah, I don't think I have that one either. I'll probably buy it just because I'm pretty sure I'll never see my copy again. So.
Well, yeah, and especially to have Christopher Lee reading the poem. I mean, that's awesome.
Dude, I bet it'd be so freaking epic. I need to look that up right now, or after I get off.
It's probably on YouTube.
It probably is, or Spotify or something like that. I'm not sure. Oh, another cool thing. Patrick Stewart originally was the narrator at the beginning of the movie, but then they cut his part out, but it's on the soundtrack. So since you listened to the soundtrack, have you heard our great captain's voice?
Probably. I feel really dumb for not remembering this, but
sorry.
I'll have to go back there. Now I'm going to listen to it tomorrow morning on my way to work and put it on.
So sequel wise, have you heard anything about a sequel to this movie?
No, but I was actually thinking about that today. Is there something in the works?
Apparently, there's something in the works. They've been wanting to do a sequel for a long time, but they weren't sure if they're going to do live action or like classic animation and go away from stop motion. But Tim Burton put his foot down pretty hard, and he was like, no, I don't want to do. It's got to be like stop motion if we do it. Henry Selick is open to doing it, but somebody was kicking around on the idea where they're like, we'll go to Thanksgiving World, and Tim Burton like totally shot that down. So there is technically a sequel to this in a game actually called Nightmare Before Christmas, Ogie's Revenge, and that actually the creators of that consulted with Tim Burton on like where the story would go. So technically there is a sequel, and it's a video game. I think it's on PlayStation. I'm not sure which one it is. Let's see here. He's also. I do remember when I was watching this, I was like, man, I feel like there was a game that had come out. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Right. I'm trying to see. And while I do have to say, I was looking up artwork today to post on Instagram when we release this. And I did see there was some concept art for a live action one. Which that's cool. Was kind of cool looking. I was intrigued. I really don't want to see a live action one personally. I feel like it just won't have the same feel, but the artwork was kind of cool to see. No, I think this movie, I agree. I mean, unless they prove me wrong, like the Blade Runner sequel, most of the time sequels to classics, especially 20 years, 30 years after the original movie, not a good idea. So, right. I mean, that's like literally every now and then you get one that's actually good and builds on the original and it's like really good. Not normally though. Most of the time it weakens the franchise, like Shrek. The first one was dope. Second one was a solid sequel, and then we won't talk about what happened to the rest of the series. So I'm trying to look through my other stuff real quick. Well, while you're looking, I was going to say one of the first things I thought of as I was watching this, it kind of made me think of back when it came out and just the kind of kid that I was. I'm pretty sure it really would have kind of disturbed me because it's a really creepy, kind of disturbing opening. Well, the whole movie, but the opening song sequence, singing about Halloween Town and kind of giving you the gist of what they do there. Definitely kind of creepy. I mean, now I see how whimsical it is and it's super fun and I love it. Even my kids love it. Mm-hmm. And but back then I think that would have kind of terrified me, but I just was trying to see it from a kid's eyes, especially the kid I was, being kind of sheltered. And I was like, man, it's kind of dark. Well, actually, I love it, but that's so funny you say that. I was a little creeped out the first time I saw it, like legitimately, because you don't know what's going to happen. There's so many different characters, and it did kind of creep me out. And then last time I watched this, I just enjoyed everything. I was just like, this is cool. This is freaking legit. So then the scene where Lock, Shock, and Barrel are sent off to go kidnap Santa Claus. Yeah. Also, the little song they sing and everything, it's just like, wow, that's really dark. That's really disturbing. Right? No, I totally feel you. Like a lot of these things are kind of dark, but like in a playful way. Like I don't know. It to me, I think Tim Burton for a long time captured the essence of more of a dark gothic type of atmosphere where it's like, right, you're not afraid of dark things, but you kind of embrace them, but it's more lighthearted. I don't know. It's that it's
Well, no, that's his style. Is that whole American Gothic kind of vibe. So it's it's a lighthearted, dark take on concepts.
Right. So the thing that's funny is this movie is a mixture of German expressionism and then Dr. Seuss type of stuff. So like they specifically had Halloween Town be heavily inspired by German expressionism. Like the movie the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is like, you see that movie and you're like, that's totally Tim Burton, which that movie was made over 100 years ago. So like the artwork in that, he was heavily influenced by that. And then they go to Christmas Town and that's totally Dr. Seuss type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the modern day, I should say the human world, because I don't think this movie is set in modern days to be honest. And so the human world, though, it's very kind of like right down the middle, kind of boring, but not quite.
Yeah.
So what do you think this movie takes place, by the way?
Well, that's a good question, because I didn't really think about that part of it, because I kind of felt like it was in a, well, I guess you do have to, it is kind of an idealistic, what you could say, American time. So I would nail it somewhere in the late 50s, early 60s. It was kind of
that's what I was thinking.
The style of the human world.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Last time I watched it, like the way the police were acting, so the ground to air guns that are like massive is just like, it's funny because it's like, oh, that's post-war like guns, like straight up. So I definitely don't think this was technically a 90s movie. I think it's supposed to be more of a Americana classic type of like post-war, just like what a lot of people would say, like the golden years of America,
right?
Like
the baby boomers generation,
right?
Which is kind of like Edward Scissorhands definitely has that, modern suburbia kind of feel from the 60s or whatever.
Right. And I think Tim Burton tries to do that specifically to just so that way it's kind of like to make the modern or the regular world seem a little bit more magical, because it's like a specific time that then he kind of enlarges upon that idea. Right. But yeah. So apparently there is a hidden Mickey when Jack is doing these experiments. There's Mickey is like on the table. So I didn't see that when I was watching the movie. I'll have to check that out next time.
Oh yeah. I'll have to tell my kids that they're good at looking for hidden Mickeys in Disney films and whatnot.
Always good to find a hidden Mickey, especially if you're out drinking. So anyways, so this is the first stop motion animated film to be rated PG by the MPAA. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that just goes to show there wasn't that many stop motion animation movies. I mean, you have a lot of TV specials, which Tim Burton originally wanted this to be a TV special, but nobody would pick it up.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he loved the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer ones from like the 60s and stuff. Maybe he picked that time frame because that might have been his childhood growing up.
Could be.
That would have been interesting.
That's very much that time period where, a lot of the Christmas songs that we sing, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all those, Frosty the Snowman, a lot of those kind of came out in the that 40s, 50s, 60s kind of time period.
Shout out to Burl Ives. Love that guy.
There we go. Yeah.
Let's see. This is also the first fully animated Disney film to not be traditionally animated. I thought that was interesting. But
that is.
So technically, this is the fun part about this. So Disney definitely picked up Nightmare Before Christmas. In the teaser trailer, it says like this is a Disney movie. But then they backed out because they thought it was too dark, even though this was still right on the edge of the Dark Ages time for Disney. Mm-hmm. And this is the second Disney cartoon movie to be rated PG. The Black Cauldron was the first one. But so they thought it was too dark for the Disney logo, so they released it under Touchstone Pictures. So
you're right.
Which is pretty funny because I didn't think this was a Disney movie technically for a long time, but then now they totally own it. They're like, no, they're like, no, it's a Disney film. We want to make money.
It was ours all the time. Right. We love this movie. So proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. Never doubted it.
Right. But I do remember that though when, I feel like in the late 90s, like I remember starting to see Nightmare stuff pop up like in Hot Topic.
Oh yeah.
Like it was kind of a little bit of a punk rock thing. And all of a sudden Disney was splashed all over it. And I agree. I remember thinking, what, Disney bought the rights to Nightmare? That's weird.
Right.
Not realizing, that they had owned it all along just for whatever reason where, ashamed of it.
They were just like, I don't know, this is too intense, which is funny now because I think Disney's kind of reevaluated what they consider to be the Disney brand, especially with all the Marvel movies. So,
Oh yeah, and Star Wars.
oh yeah, forgot about that. Good old.
I mean, now they can be Disney is whatever they want it to be now, and everybody will buy it.
right? No joke.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the other thing about this too is apparently on the soundtrack there's a little bit of an epilogue that says that Jack Skellington had like 4 or 5 kids. So I thought that was
Dang, I missed that. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, Josh, what the heck, man? Seriously. Thought you were a fan.
They're gonna take my super fan card and shred it.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Forget that.
Light it on fire.
And let's see here. Originally, Oogie Boogie was originally intended to be Dr. Finkelstein in disguise. So they were gonna have him like actually kind of be in love with Sally, but since there was no lead up to that when they did that, Tim Burton shut down that idea. And apparently, he was so mad at the idea that he kicked a hole in the wall. So
wow,
kids don't do drugs, but. But
wow, that's intense.
That's a lot of passion. And he also doesn't look at Oogie Boogie as being a villain in this. He just views him as just being another character. So that kind of makes sense though, because I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense. Well, everybody's the hero in their own story.
Sure. I just feel like he's just evil, but they didn't really have a problem with it. Jack didn't really have a problem with it per se until Santa and Sally were involved, but otherwise they were kind of just like, yeah, he just does his thing over there.
Right. Which, did you think that he was banished to that underground area, like where he couldn't come out? Or do you think, I thought that was just his house.
Yeah, I just thought he hung out there. I mean, he's just kind of just kind of a dirtbag, addict kind of guy. So I think that's just naturally where he might end up. I didn't get the fact that, or get the feel that he was banished, but that definitely he was not a, citizen in good standing in Halloween Town. Right.
And I felt like also as well, there's the part where you see his shadow on the moon, and I guess some people were like, is that him? Is that not him? I'm like, I totally thought that was him, like 100% right away. He's the Oogie Boogie man,
Right.
So
yeah, I thought that was him. I always assumed it was.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts in this movie, though, is I love the vampires because they sing so high.
Oh, yeah.
Like, la, la, la. It was just freaking awesome. So,
yeah, well, I know watching it this time, I really appreciated every scene that they were in. They're very articulate, and you can tell they're kind of a little bit like the aristocracy a little bit. They're a little higher than everyone else, and like when they're doing the presents, they're wrapping these like perfect presents with the bow and everything, because most of the other stuff people are doing is kind of
throwing it together.
Yeah, slapped together, and theirs looks all perfect and pretty.
Right. Yeah, I love that. We should probably get into our final verdicts because I have been holding back about this movie. So I actually have something to say too. Oh, like a final verdict or something else?
Something else.
Oh, okay. Let's hear that before we roll into final verdicts then.
All right. So something that, like I said earlier, this movie I feel like it's had something different for me each time I've watched it, and I've just uncovered different layers of what, I don't know, maybe it was just what I was feeling in the moment, or like I said, the music really grabbed me during a time period where I was watching this. And, or just, other times just really picking apart, man, there's so much detail and so many things going on in each scene, like all the stop motion stuff. And this time, and I was not expecting this, but I'm watching it with the purpose of taking notes, which is cool. And I usually I don't have anything in mind. I just, whatever grabs me and I start writing. So it hit me this time. And I think it's just, just being the person I am and the life that I've experienced, thus far. I felt like this movie was kind of existential. It kind of had like some deeper things going on that I hadn't really paid attention to before. I felt like there's some really deep themes going on, especially for a kids movie, which is awesome. I love movies like that you can take at face value and it's entertaining, or you can, dive deeper.
Well, I didn't smoke weed while I was watching this movie. So how did you, what was your thoughts on that?
So the thing that really grabbed me, I'll try to keep this short. The thing that really grabbed me was that Jack is his character I saw in myself, and I think in a lot of people. I feel like it's guys a lot of the time, but I'm sure women do this too. But not realizing that, everything that he needed in life was like right under his nose. And, that everything that he's needed, he had it all along. And the concept of being content is very tough for people. And I think that's a very Western problem that we have. Just always wanting more and always being driven to get the next best thing and never being content with what you have. But that also goes with just being satisfied with your life. Yeah. And, your talents and, what I guess you could say what you do for a living, because a lot of people, your job is kind of how you identify, but it could also be your talents and passions and whatnot. And just that concept of we always want what others have. He's once he just stumbles across Christmas Town, he's very envious in a way of what Santa's got. And he thinks that, well, I can do that. I'm a talented guy. I can do this. And then he ends up, taking it and kind of just goes, with that old adage that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And especially in this case, it wasn't really. It was good for Santa, but what was good for Santa wasn't good for Jack.
Yes.
And so you really, you see his character learn to appreciate what he has, his talents. He learns to appreciate Santa's talents for what he has. You really see jealousy, being a strong thing in this movie, whether it's, like I said, him being jealous of Santa. You see Dr. Was it Finkelstein or?
Dr. Finkelstein.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of being jealous of Sally's time and, her running off and, wanting to keep her under his thumb and being possessive. Just as the concept of everyone has a part to play in life. Every person in Halloween Town kind of had their little role. And then there's that secondary storyline of Sally, and she's got the love interest. She's secretly in love. And like someone who truly loves another person, a lot of times you're trying to help them and you see them going down a path that isn't good, but you still love them and you try to encourage them. And sometimes you even enable them and try to support them. And it's just like, this is not good. So you really see that in her, and you see her being sad, seeing that he's, the way that he's handling things, and it's making her sad, and she's sad for him, just watching him spiral kind of out of control. And then there's another part of it, another kind of a side topic was being exposed to new things in life. Because a lot of times we get stuck in our rut, our little tiny bubble of life that we experience, and we never realize there's so much more out there. Jack obviously took that to an extreme because he was very, kind of depressed and not satisfied with what he had. But there's nothing wrong with, the people in Halloween Town got to experience, there's more out there, and it kind of, broaden their horizons, which was awesome. Sorry, that was a long rant. No, but it just kind of hit me because that's definitely me. That's me. And I was telling Trady this earlier today, and she's like kind of smiling and nodding. It's like, yep, that's been you, just not being satisfied with things that I've done artistically or even just in life, just with work or being I could be so much more, or this or that, and not being content with, all the wonderful things that I've been provided. And, it just really hit me, and I'm like, good Lord. And then just seeing that Jack is this kind of narcissistic megalomaniac kind of character. He's so obsessed with himself and his happiness and kind of dragging other people along to his worldview, and just kind of being a monster. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's me. I don't like that. And then Sally kind of being a real hero in the movie. I mean, she's the one that was trying to save things and put things right. And Jack was more of a reactionary hero at the end when he realized, oh crap, yeah, this didn't work. Which was funny because when he literally crashes and burns and he realizes, oh, this was a mistake. First he throws kind of a pity party. Right. Oh, poor me. And then he throws a temper tantrum, well, it's not fair, Right. And then finally, and this is in the scope of 2 minutes, finally comes around and sees the light and, I got to fix this.
That was faster than the turnaround in Thor. Absolutely.
Right. I was thinking like that never happens in real life. Usually you just continue to, feel sorry for yourself or throw tantrums. And the fact that he had that aha moment and genuinely went and fixed it, it was great. Happy ending. Everything's cool. But good Lord, man, it was such like a cold splash of water in the face to see that. And it just made me love the movie even more. Just, And maybe I'm totally crazy and that really wasn't all there, but it was so real to me as I'm watching this movie for the umpteenth time.
I always think that's cool, though, when you have a piece of art that really speaks to you on a personal level. And it doesn't matter if it's something you've experienced before. It just like can hit you. Yeah. And I think that's awesome. Like that is super cool hearing that just all of a sudden it kind of helps peel back the layers of yourself to understand yourself more.
Absolutely. And hopefully good art does that in us. Hopefully it does expose bad things we want to change and encourages the good in us as well.
I think it would, it just exposes truth about us.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Are we ready for final statements on this?
Final verdict.
Final verdict. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So do you think, Josh, that by the way, sorry, stomp all over it. That was really cool what you experienced from that. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh, for sure. I know we're running short on time. That was a lot to say, but
who cares? I'll edit out some of my bad jokes. So anyways, do you think that it hit the mark when it came out? Box office.
I think so. Based on the numbers, I don't think they didn't lose any money. And like I said, I remember as a kid just feeling like it was everywhere and it seemed like everybody was talking about it. And it seemed to be, definitely the big new hit that had come out at the time.
Yeah. So what would you rate it then with that?
I guess I give it an A, a soft A.
I think I would give it, honestly, I think I'll give it a B- on this because budget's 18 million. So it made like 1.5 more than that, plus whatever the marketing was on that. So it wasn't.
That is very modest. So yeah, I agree with you. I'll give it a B-.
So I think that it wasn't a runaway hit, but it definitely wasn't a bomb though at all. I think it made money. Right. It's more of like a Big Fish type of thing. Well, it's not even Big Fish. I think was more popular than this at the time.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Yeah, but
it's definitely. I feel like this movie's been a slow burn. I think it was a decent. Didn't lose money. Wasn't huge, but made some money. And then
I don't think it lost money. I think that
right, but I think they have sure made a lot more money with it over the years.
Yeah. So that goes right into the next question: is this movie still relevant, Josh?
I would say absolutely yes. Give it an A as a cult classic, but I feel like it's constantly gaining new fans. Yeah. So I don't think that it's just only gained in popularity and gained steam. And I think it's always, it's definitely seen as a true classic.
Yeah, I think it's definitely joined the ranks of those with the highly enviable spot of a Christmas classic that you have to watch every year. Like, I think it's right there.
Right.
With lots of other Christmas movies that we will not name. So, right. But, so yeah. And so I definitely agree. I give it an A as for being relevant because I think, it's been consistently growing in popularity. Everybody, most people, if you're up to date with pop culture, you've at least seen Jack Skellington. You may not know his name, but you recognize him.
Oh, right. You go to a Disney store and any mall in America, and they're gonna have Nightmare stuff.
Right. It's a Christmas staple now. Absolutely. So I give it an A. All right. Here's the hard one now. Personal enjoyment, Josh.
Oh, so difficult. It's an A. Who am I fooling?
Who am I kidding? Stab. So the thing that was interesting about this, and I was holding back about it, first time I watched this movie, I was disappointed because I was expecting something different. And so then the second time I watched this movie, I was like, oh, right, this will be a new Christmas movie that we'll watch every time. And I enjoyed it, but I was like, okay. And then a few years later, last night, actually, it's the third time that I've seen this movie. And I was blown away by all of the little details, like the clever writing, the wittiness of all of the sight gags in this movie. Yeah. Like, I was blown away by this, and I honestly could totally watch this movie again, like, tonight. I definitely got to give it an A as well, because it blew me away. I feel like I am liking this movie more and more. Like, the charm is one of those great things where the more you're around it, the more you like it. And so,
100%.
Yeah, I definitely, it's awesome stuff. So, okay, the fourth one then, is it a midnight watch?
Yeah, absolutely for me. I feel like every sequence in this movie is interesting to watch. I feel like if it's on TV, for sure, whatever sequence it's at, whatever part in the movie, you're going to stop and at least finish that one part, because it's there's so much detail in every scene. So
Yeah.
I don't see how it couldn't be. I mean, I kind of feel that way with most stop motion, movies. I'll say movies, maybe not every special and everything out there, but most stop motion, because there's not a lot of stop motion movies really out there, but I think most of them are catch your eye, make you stop, and what am I watching?
Right, because the artwork is 100% on show, and every frame, literally every frame you see is planned. So, I feel like you could pause this movie at any time and it would be a picture you could put on the wall.
Yeah.
So, but okay, so this is the thing though. I'm conflicted though. Do I think this is the midnight watch? I want to say yes, but I don't think it's a midnight watch for me. Like, I think this is a great, fantastic movie, but I think if it was on, I'd watch it for like 5 minutes and then go to bed. I don't think I'd finish this movie. And so, I gotta say,
Fair enough.
I do not think it is a midnight watch, but I totally think it is a fantastic film.
Right. Hey, and the fifth or sixth time you watch it, you might change your mind.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up today's episode. If you want to check out this movie, I think we already discussed this. We both watched it on Disney Plus.
Right.
So, which is also,
and we both own them.
And we both own it.
Technically, you own it.
I mean, I don't know if I own it anymore. I have to track down that friend. But and also too, I did see it was on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure though, if you listeners out there, if you know 10 people, one of them has a copy of this movie, so you can probably track it down pretty well. So yeah, there you go. Special thanks to our sound producer Jake Colvin. If you enjoyed this episode, then we'd love it if you shared it with your friends or anyone that you think that would like it.
And please hit that subscribe button. We'd love a 5-star rating. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, we're on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcast, a ton of other ones. There's not many that we're not on. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram. We'd love to see you on Instagram. And you can email us the old-fashioned way at themidnightwatchpodcast@gmail.com.
All right, folks. Have an awesome week. And as always, keep up the watch.